Nice. Yay.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Hey guys, so today we have our very good friend and frequent collaborator, Angus William Taj Manion,
Ahoy.
better known as Little Gus within our circle. We're going to talk to him about film, life, art, love, all things in between.
Excellent.
Sounds good. Gus, how are you doing today? You feeling good?
We're doing alright. How are you, lads?
Hell yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
Doing good.
Decent. Yeah.
Doing good.
So we all met you at uni, pretty much.
Correct.
I want to go into that later, but let's go into okay, you chose, like we all did, to go to film school. And I think we've all been sitting on this podcast for a while still trying to figure out why we did that.
Yeah.
But why film school?
I wish I had a good answer to this.
Yeah, sorry.
I was asked this in one of the classes at film school, and I gave an honest answer, and the teacher was not very impressed with my answer.
What was the answer?
The answer was that in high school, like a lot of kids, but me in particular, I really hated school.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just awful. Like I dreaded going every day. And so we had this one teacher called Mr. Bolden. Shout out Mr. Bolden if you're watching. Yeah, so he was our film and media teacher, and it was known around the school that film and media was the cool subject that everyone, that was the fun subject. Everyone did that. So I did that because I hated school. Like, why would I do a subject that was not cool?
Yeah.
So I did that, and I just kept making memes.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally for my assignments, I was making video memes. I was just having
I've seen
too much.
these.
Yeah, you've seen them.
What are
Jamie,
they?
pull that shit
They're
up.
incredible. Yeah.
Can we insert a meme? What were the
Can we
content?
insert a
Yeah,
section
can we
of
pull
one of
that?
your
No, you
films?
cannot.
No?
Okay.
Okay.
Can you speak about what the content was on the podcast without, getting in trouble?
Will we get cancelled?
Yeah.
So my year 12 final film assessment was we had to make a 5-minute short film, and my friend and I, we got a day off because we were non-OP, and they had the what they used to call that.
Oh, yeah.
ATAR?
No, before it was ATAR.
I know what you mean. The QCS?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So they had a QCS practice, so all the non-OP students got that day off. And so my friend and I borrowed a camera from the film class, and we went down to the local park, just the town, and we started filming our short film, which our previous assignment before that was to write the short film. And I wrote a script that my teacher unironically thought was really good. He was really keen to see it. And so he thought that's what we were filming. That was not what we were filming. So what we ended up filming was we just made up this film on the spot where I was an undercover cop doing a drug bust, but I was posing as a drug dealer.
Sure.
This is the one I've seen.
Yeah, you've seen this one. And
It's
so
awesome.
we went out to the park and we shot this thing where I was just pretending to buy drugs, and it was 1 minute long and it needed to be 5 minutes long. So what we did was we went back in time to the beginning of the film and played it again. So that was 2 minutes now. And then we still had 3 minutes to make up. So we added basically a 3-minute long post-credit scene where I took the drugs that I confiscated off the drug dealer and went on a 3-minute long drug trip. And that was my
editing.
That's
The
so-
editing.
that was
The
my
drug-
final film assessment for year 12, and it gets better because film was an OP subject. With OP subjects, the teacher has to send the top and bottom of each tier of marking away to be mediated by other teachers to make sure they're all marking on the same level.
Yeah.
And I was either the bottom of the A's or the top of the B's, and so they had to send that away to the panel, Sunshine Coast Schools panel, to be moderated by a bunch of what dictates quality content at my
It's
school.
experimental, guys.
Yeah.
You don't understand.
Yes, so that was my film. And so back to the question, film was just a bludge subject for me.
Sure, there you go.
And then when I finished high school, I was like, what am I going to do now? I had a friend that went to Griffith, and so I was like, okay, I hadn't even heard of Griffith. I was like, I'll apply to Griffith. And I didn't get in because it was an OP5, I think. And when
I think it might have been like a 9 or something.
Yeah, that's right. QUT was an OP5. I was told by my guidance counselor before I did OP that I didn't need to do OP because at the end of the year, you get a rank where it you can equate that to an OP. And so I was like, okay, I'm almost a straight A student, even though I hate being here.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really good grades all the way through, and then I got my rank converted to an OP, and what's the worst OP? It's 21, isn't it?
I think it's 25.
25 is worse. Yeah, my rank was equivalent to OP 24. Even though
Wow.
I got all A's.
Because
Wow.
of the subjects.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Well, because what they do,
What the fuck?
because I had a similar thing with like, because of the QCS test, if you, let's just say you top the subject of film, but in the QCS test, everyone who is in the subject of film does miserably bad.
Right.
You get little to no credit
Right.
for that,
Yeah.
because
Right.
they assume that if you're topping a group that's doing really poorly, they will drop the quality.
Right.
Is it fair to say, like with you as well, your high school film class was like 90% people wanting to bludge?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
same here.
Yeah.
So you would have gotten like
Yeah, it's
not
like
much.
I was
fucking
one of
credit.
them.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, did that. Didn't get in to film school because I had an OP 24 basically. So I went and did a year of music at Nambour TAFE.
Let's
like,
go!
Oh, yeah.
Like a proud scholar, intellectual that I am, and then I got an email from the uni, and they were like, "Oh, okay, you can come here now," because I didn't realize TAFE has a partnership with Griffith, and they're like, "Yeah, you can come join us now, I guess." And I was like, "Okay," and then I just went and did that. And then I don't know if, because I didn't know you guys that well in film school, but all the people that I did know well, they can attest to this, that every single semester without fail at film school, I would say, I think I'm going to drop out.
Yes, I remember you.
I used to-
Yeah.
Every single time I'd be like, I'm not going to stick around. Yeah. And then I just come back, and then I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since we're on the topic of Griffith Film School now,
Yeah.
it's interesting you felt that way, because it's something else that I'm sure all of us can attest to. So you had this attitude, I'm going to drop out through every semester,
Yes.
throughout the whole course.
Yeah.
We get to grad slate,
Yeah.
third year,
Oh, God.
right? So you hop on multiple projects,
Yes.
and if you're not on set helping with one project, you're helping in post,
Yeah.
even if you didn't originally sign on, because
Yeah.
people would come to you for help.
Yeah.
And lads, is it fair to say, and I'm pretty confident with this, that with more than half of the slates, Gus had a pretty crucial help in like post, in visual,
I mean, certainly
visual
felt-
effects or sound.
Yeah.
Gus can-
Absolutely.
Gus can
Correct?
Confirm,
Yeah.
Confirm to us if this is true or not. But just to get the logistics clear for people listening, like when you did a subject in grad slate, what it was is you did a major role and a minor role,
Yep.
unless you were directing or producing a film, in which case
Yeah.
that was the only thing that you did.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to do one role equivalent to like a major position, basically meaning like a sound designer, a cinematographer,
Yeah.
something significant. Or you like were second AC or something.
Yeah.
So something that was properly demanding and something that was you show up to set and you're just sort of helping everybody else.
Yeah.
So that's what you were supposed to do.
Yes, that
And now,
that is.
Gus, tell us how much you actually did.
How many projects were you on, Gus?
I think there was probably 2 projects that I wasn't on.
Out of 10.
Yeah. There's actually
So it wasn't even
Holy
half, it was
shit.
like 80%.
I think there was
Again,
attraction included.
Yeah.
There was, you didn't really know that I was, like, you walked in when I was working on it, and you
Yeah.
were like, oh, you're
Because
you're helping us
you
out.
were helping with some
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
visual effects stuff.
But there was
Yeah.
another project, I just won't say which one, but there was, no, 2 other projects.
Mm.
There were 2 other projects where I worked on the project, and the director and producer had no idea that I worked on the project.
Yeah.
Because someone else was working on it, and they couldn't figure out what they needed to do, and they
Yeah.
gave it to me, and then I gave it back to them, and then they gave it.
And it was like fixed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember this because a lot of us would hang
incredible.
out, like obviously you're trying to hustle really hard to hit deadlines. So
Yeah.
the computer labs just swarm with students. So obviously you overhear conversations, hey, I can't do this, what the fuck? And it's like, hey, can you help? And maybe the person sitting next to you helps or something. Gus was like, to me, when I saw it, you were like the tutor floating from group to group.
Yeah.
I think that's how we met, actually.
I think it was. I think because you were helping out with some animation stuff.
Yeah.
But we shot it not very intelligently. We should have had tracking markers to help with like a certain animation element. and Gus was helping, and I was like, oh, holy shit. Like, so you helped out with a hell of a lot of projects.
Yeah.
Which is incredible because, you know, you're saying you want to drop out every semester.
Yeah.
How do you get from A to B, and how were you so conscientious with things even though you were so impartial before?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How does that come about?
How I ended up in this mess, record scratch.
Freeze frame.
That's me.
Yeah. People asked me to do things and I didn't say no, and then the things they asked me to do just snowballed and snowballed. And like you said, Noah, major role, minor role. The two projects that I was contracted to work on, meaning the ones that I actually signed for, not the ones that people just came up to me and were like, oh, can you help?
Yeah.
I was major role sound designer, minor role, visual effects supervisor.
Sure.
Minor
Which is
role.
a minor
Yeah.
role here.
Yeah.
There's not much work to be done doing visual
Yeah.
effects, so yeah. It's pretty simple.
It's
Yeah.
easy.
So
Anybody can do it.
on the project that I ended up being the sound designer for, I was also the boom op and the recordist. So that's the 3 roles. Also the carpenter. Don't know how that one worked. And at one point I was supposed to be the composer as well.
Nice.
The
And
composer.
yes, and also helping with the visual effects. This is all on the one thing. While doing the music video, it was just visual effects. Just so much visual effects in it, and it was a minor role according to the way that the slate is operated.
Jeez.
What was the equivalent of how many people's work do you think you did?
We'll specify not
Okay,
for them.
not for them.
Not for
No,
them.
no.
The
but,
work
but
of how many men?
yeah,
did you do?
yeah. How many roles?
So how many major roles worth and minor roles worth of
Yeah.
work did you
Yeah.
actually do?
Is this just on what I was contracted to do?
No,
or
no,
just
No.
In
What
total,
you
everything
really
you
did.
actually did.
I would say that, say for attraction and that stuff, you could probably say that that amount of work was half a role, so that say the 3 or so that I helped someone else do the visual effects, or you can say that was 1 role, I think.
Sure.
I'd probably say 2.
Okay, so
Just-
we'll say
just
2
just
for that.
From my judgment, just because it was a major help with visual effects.
Yeah, so we'll say 2 for that.
Yeah, to pick up the slack, and then major
Yeah.
help with sound.
Yeah, so then for the sound, because that was post
talk about
slate.
sound.
That was post slate. So let's not talk about that.
Okay.
Let's just talk about the ones that I actually did.
Okay.
When Flesh and Ivory was attraction in film school, and we were having problems with sound because of a whole range of issues that I won't get into
Yeah,
here.
just stuff you run into.
Yeah, exactly. We immediately go to Angus because obviously he's
yeah.
the guy. He's
Angus-
the fixer. He's the one you go
Yes.
to solve problems. This man comes in,
I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah.
presses 2 fucking buttons, and fixes
Yeah.
what, 40%
40% of the
40% of the
I think it
sound
was
problems?
literally highlighted all the clips and pressed Control F.
Yeah.
No, just F.
Or
Didn't even
just
press F.
Sorry, 1 button.
So all of the clips were faded in and out, which
Yeah.
apparently wasn't done. So you would hear when a sound clip stopped.
Yeah.
Because it would be a pop or. And we listened back to it, and the film was
It was already better.
it was way better.
He pressed 1 button, we were all fucking amazed.
I had
It
my
was
head in
great.
my fucking hands. It's painful.
So you've definitely established yourself as the guy that people come to help solve problems.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Doesn't even
Unfortunately.
matter what it is.
I have a quite serious question, which is
Ooh.
obviously you had to fix everybody else's problems at film school,
Right.
and my problems post film school,
Right.
and Isaac and Jackson's problems post film, and everything, all that.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason everybody goes to you is because you're so bloody good at what you do. And the question is, how did you get so good at doing
yeah.
all this stuff?
Yeah.
Because it seems like you have a whole bunch of technical knowledge and ability that nobody else at film school had. So how did you get that stuff?
You never hand something back half done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This is an answer that it's just going to mess you all up. Ready for this?
Let's go.
The reason why I'm, as you put it, so good at sound design specifically,
And VFX, we'll get into that.
we'll get into that as
Yeah.
well, but sound design specifically is because I was the only one that did it. That's the reason. It's because everyone else wanted to do camera. I wanted to do camera. I wanted to write. I wanted to edit, but only so many people can do those things.
Sure.
So people get put doing sound. I was one of those people. It's that simple. If you do sound, you get good at it. It's
Right.
it's a very simple topic.
Right.
People are always amazed because they haven't tried it.
Mm-hmm.
And they...
That's valid.
So there was obviously a sound class at uni or what?
Yes,
Or a few of them.
which I didn't take, but then they got cancelled, and then they're like, if you don't take this, we're going to cancel it again, and then everyone else will be jobless because of you.
Right. So you took it to keep people employed.
You fucking legend.
That's what I'm hearing.
No, what
This guy is
happened?
helping out students and lecturers. Yeah.
Lecturers, yeah.
No, what happened was there was a sound design
Sorry.
one.
Sorry. Actually, it just hit me how ridiculous that is.
Oh, this is so good.
There was a sound design one that everyone had to take.
Yes.
There was a
Yeah.
sound design 2 that you were supposed to take if you were doing sound for your final film. I didn't take it. The sound design 2 class got cancelled. All of the sound designers had to find something else to do. Then sound design 3 came around, and they're like, if we don't get the numbers, we're going to have to cancel this again. And I did not want to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't need to do it because I had extra credit already.
Sure.
So I didn't want to take another subject. I didn't need to take another subject because I was gonna pass regardless. But then I was like, yeah, I'll take it. So I took this subject, and
And how many people were in that class?
well, that's the thing. Well, at the start, some of them left. Probably about 30% at the start were from the music students.
Right.
They so all up probably less than 10 in the beginning, and at the end probably 6 people.
There you go.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the fact that everyone's amazed that you can do sound.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
So well.
It's more or less the same as editing.
Right.
It's probably a bit more technical.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's pretty much what I do, is cleaning up bad sound,
Yeah.
which is incredibly tedious.
Yeah.
But-
There you go. I feel like with any creative job on a film, even if it's writing, directing, editing
Yeah.
a movie, whatever,
Yeah.
I still feel 90% of the process is literally just even when you edit a film, right? The first thing you have to do is sync everything up, watch all of the text back to front,
Yep.
pick the text you want, and then the only enjoyable bit really is at the end when you watch it through and you're like, okay,
Movie.
now exactly movie, right? But pacing everybody's lines and dialogues, and you know this from sound designing Bloom and everything.
Oh, yeah.
How many little lip smacks and
Yeah.
everything that's there. It's just man, yeah.
Mm.
So then we move on to VFX stuff,
Right.
which you're also amazing at. And was there more of an interest at Griffith? Because I don't know, because I never took it. But is there more of an interest with VFX at Griffith and stuff like that?
So with the edits that I used to make in high school, I would edit on Sony Vegas because that was the software they gave us on the shitty little laptops. That I won't go into detail about the amount of projects I lost because of the laptop exploding.
Wow.
Basically. So with those videos, I used to do a lot of, wouldn't exactly call it VFX, but I would add a lot of edits and overlays and stuff that people might consider that to be sort of on the brink of visual effects, and I would just do that just using the inbuilt the masking and
Cool.
the shitty chroma key and all that was built into Sony Vegas.
Nice.
So I had a little bit of experience with that. And then when I went to film school, we finished the first year, and then we had to pick our subjects for the second year. And I chose a subject called, I can't remember what it was, but it was an After Effects subject.
Mm-hmm.
And I got an email just before we started, would have started trimester 3, and it's from the convener of the animation cohort saying, you've enrolled in this course, you need to take this course as a prerequisite for this course.
All right.
And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And so I went to this course. It was an intensive for 3 weeks, and the name of the course was Maya Fundamentals, and Maya's kind of I don't know if it's Maya or Maya, but it's kind of the industry standard for 3D modeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so we learned that, and I had to make a sort of tabletop inspired, I guess, a little bit by Toy Story, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So I guess that was part of the reason I was so engaged with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all 3D modeling, texturing, lighting, that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's only me and 2 other film students in the subject. All the rest of them are animation students.
Wow.
So I submit my final, and the teacher just is he's really impressed. He's like, wow, I guess without saying it, he was kind of I wasn't expecting this from a film student,
Right.
maybe an animation student. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went next year, did the next subject, and it turned out that I did not need to take that elective at all. It had nothing to do with the course. We didn't even use the same software. It was completely unrelated. And but it was good that happened because
Okay.
that kind of sparked a love for something that I didn't know I had.
Sure.
And so then moved on from that. Next course we did After Effects. We were put in a group where we had to edit ourselves into a scene, and my group chose to do the Simpsons intro, which is not ideal because it's a cartoon. And
I was about to say.
the Simpsons, not only is it a cartoon, but the Simpsons has a particular style where everything is like warped and distorted, which doesn't work for adding live action into it.
Sure.
So like say we had to do a lot of 3D tracking and stuff like that. All of the camera movements, when the camera pans in the Simpsons, say it's like a horizontal plane, it will literally arc, and so you can't track that.
Right.
And because it's animation, it's like the information that is there is inconsistent with each frame because it's like redrawn. So it was all like having to be done by hand in the end. And because of that, I learned like a lot of little tricks and stuff that I think a lot of people probably don't know.
Right.
And because of that, I guess I just got really good at like problem solving, visual effects stuff. But basically that's what I've been doing with every VFX project that I've had since then is someone gives me something that I don't know how to do. But because of that, I can, if I think about it long enough, I can think of a way that's not the correct way to do it, but it will still work. Like for example, that apple shot in Bloom.
Right.
That was the way I ended up doing that was absolutely not how we should have approached that.
Okay.
And as you know, it took many attempts, many
Yeah.
different angles of approach, but
Yeah.
eventually we got it.
Yeah, it looks
we
really
got
cool.
it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Amazing. We went back and forth on that shot for like months, I
Yeah.
would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you fucking nailed it.
It's so good. Yeah, really like helps cement the world that
My
you
whole
made.
film career is in debt to Gus.
Same.
It can be done.
Same.
It's that sort of a thing.
Calligram would, Flesh and Ivory would not have gotten into a single festival. In fact, it didn't get into a single festival until Gus fixed the sound.
True.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
didn't, yeah.
Thank you, Gus.
Thank you, Gus.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
This man also fixed when we were shooting Co-Stars. Remember how we were having problems with the curtains?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah.
specific
No.
point?
That was Joel.
Was it?
That was Joel.
It was
It
was
actually
Joel.
Joel's
Was it
idea.
Joel?
Yeah,
Oh,
Joel,
okay, sorry,
Lord
I
and
got
Savior
that.
Joel,
Yeah.
saved the day again.
Yeah.
There we go.
We needed curtains to open and give the illusion like no one was opening the curtains. And Joel, I won't say how he did it, but it worked.
Movie magic.
Movie magic.
Movie
And I
magic,
talked to
yeah.
Calvin, and it's so easy to tidy up that
Yeah.
shot. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'd be worth saying, like, because obviously you've got a musical background. You've been playing music since quite a young age. Like your dad
Yeah.
plays a lot of music, always has in the
Yeah.
house. Was there any sort of, like, was playing music a lot as a kid, and I guess recording sounds, did that
Have anything to
lead
do
you
with film.
into, lead you into sound in particular?
I guess in a way it did, because I think when we had like that first sound class that everyone had to take, I didn't have to take it because I had a credit transfer from TAFE, so I didn't have to take it, but I decided to take it regardless because it was different. I spoke to Steve, the lecturer, after, like, I think I went to the first lecture just to see what was going on, and I asked him, I was like, do you think it's worth me taking this course? And he said, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do this? And I was no to every single question. And he was like, yeah, I think you should take it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Because, I just, when I'm making music, there's a lot of, with the mixing and EQing and that sort of stuff, it's interesting. I like shaping sounds. That sort of sound.
Right.
I don't like shaping sound in the fact that it's like, oh, okay, so there's one syllable of dialogue where there is a bird in the background and also a train and also the actor somehow coughs at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than like recording in a booth
Yeah.
with like diffused walls and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and of course, I wouldn't have got to film school if I hadn't gone and studied music.
Right.
Studied. Very loose term.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, you're always like an awesome person to have on set
Yeah.
because it just feels like you're one of those people who just like actually likes to make movies and be on a set with people, which is like, surprisingly kind of rare at a film school,
Yeah.
especially when you're someone who's in like a more technical role, at least on a set.
Yeah.
And you're not just there because like doing film is cool or something. Like
Yeah.
you're there to do your fucking job.
Yeah.
You know, you're not there like, hey, I hope, like, I can't wait to like talk shit in between takes and do all that stuff. Though obviously like there's a time and place, but like it's clear when you're on set, your first priority is like none of this matters if like this doesn't get done.
Yeah.
You know. I'm
assuming, at least, but it seems like, you know, when I've been on set with you, sure, there's been fuck ups and directors who are incompetent and. But anyways, your cousin's looking at Izac,
Fuck. That's gonna look so bad.
No, it's alright. But, you know, we've been on a bunch of the same sets together.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've observed many of the similar problems that happen on sets and stuff like this. But at the end of the day, it all sort of works out. And I guess the question is like, I mean, you must like, at the end of the day, like making movies to some extent.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Right,
I want to hear this one.
Yeah. When I used to make my own movies, because I haven't done that in so long, but when I used to make my own movies, I used to approach them in a certain way, which is the reason why I haven't made any movies in a long time, is because there's a certain way that you have to make film, a certain approach that you have to take. My approach was to just go with a camera and just make something up on the spot.
Right.
And I always had so much fun doing that.
Yeah.
I guess that's why one of my favorite things about working with you guys, or just working on films in general, is usually when I'm on set, I'm sound recording. And with sound recording, you have a lot of downtime in between takes, because all you got to do is move the stuff, set it up, press record. Like, it's not complicated things you have to do between the takes.
Sure.
So I have a lot of downtime, and I like with you guys is because we're always such a skeleton crew. I like having to, or getting to, hop jobs a little bit. Usually at some point on the shoot, I will assist the DOP in some way, or like help look at the script with you or something. But I like when I get to sort of suggest things.
Yeah.
If I haven't read a particular part of the script or something, and I don't know how we're going to shoot it or whatever, and I kind of just say, oh, are we going to do it like this? Like, because I generally don't know, but I was like, oh, we're going to do it like this, and someone says, oh yeah. I like that sort of stuff. I guess I just like being creative, and part of that is stealing other people's jobs where the opportunity arises.
That's true. I've definitely had a problem on sets where like, and I agree with you that this is what you should kind of like want to do, but you've been on sets, I swear, and I've been on sets too, where people are like, I'm here to do my specific job, and if I'm going into your specific job, I need to be credited for absolutely everything you do. And everything. It's like, you're on a set, man. Like, this is an environment where like, we're all here to work and make a good film, and if you can do something to do that, then you should do that. You know what I mean?
It's a team.
I mean, there have been, and you guys know about this, but there have been specific times where I have asked not to be credited on a film.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Because of I've been working under someone else or taking over from someone else, and I'm like, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want people to think that part was me.
Right.
So I'm just like, yeah, you can just say they did it.
Yeah, gotcha. Because you don't want to be, if they're doing part of the work and you're doing part of the work, but it's not up to a high enough standard, you don't want to be suggested that that's what you're capable of producing. Yeah.
The only time I've ever been really particular about credit me was when I did someone else's job for them, and they asked for all these credits.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, if you're going to credit yourself with all those things, I need the credit too.
Right.
Like, I'm taking that credit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm not, like, I don't really care too much.
Yeah. If you're completely doing somebody else's job, or like doing a significant amount of it they couldn't have done themselves, then definitely.
At the end of the day, these aren't my films. I'm not the one going around saying, I did this.
Sure.
I'm just like, I do this for fun.
Yeah.
I like helping you guys. I like making movies.
Yeah.
Like meeting new actors and stuff like that, working with new people. So for me, it's not about the credit. It's about what I get to experience. Yeah, like if I'm not on a project but I know that someone I know is working on a set, nearby or
Yeah.
something, and I know that they're not going to care if I
Yeah.
visit for a second. I'll go visit.
Yeah.
I'll go see what they're up to.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's crazy when you're like, somebody doesn't want to like be on a set even though they have the opportunity to, just to like, you know, even if it's just to drop in to like see what's
Yeah.
going on. Like, isn't that why we're here in this
Yeah.
industry to do this stuff? Like,
Yeah. Well, we're not professional movie watchers.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
It's true.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Could
Well, I
If
do.
someone wants to pay me to watch movies,
I'll do it.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Obviously, like, before you make any films, you watch films. And you
Right.
mentioned that Toy
Okay.
Story is one of your favorites.
Yeah.
In the future, what kind of films are the films that you want to be making? And what are the films that have kind of fed that fire for you in regards to filmmaking?
Right.
Like, ones that really make you go, oh, shit,
What's
I
your
want...
favorite movies, man?
Yeah. What are your favorite movies? Yeah.
That's a bit of a tricky one to answer because of like I still not set on what I want to do in this industry.
Yep.
Like it's pretty much visual effects, but I did come from a writing editing background as well, and I'd like to get back into that. Movies like Thor Ragnarok, so say when Marvel movies had a lot of action and a lot of cool visuals, like that movie was probably the turning point before all the VFX side of like Marvel movies and all that action movies started to go right downhill.
But keeping that in because that's based.
Yeah.
That's a
unironically
fair
love that
opinion,
movie.
Yeah. Well, it's true. Well, because the deadlines have been getting squished
Yeah.
and visual effects supervisors are going on strike. Like,
Yeah.
that's just a fact.
We're about to talk about how shittily animators are treated in this industry right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Guys. We should do this.
Yeah.
man.
Even just like the actual visuals themselves, I think were interesting.
Mhm.
And so obviously, when you're doing visual effects, you want to make cool, flashy shit. Because like a lot of visual effects, pretty much all the visual effects I did for Bloom were just removing things.
Sure.
And if I did my job really well, no one would know that I ever did it.
Yeah.
True.
So yeah, I want to make big flashy CGI things,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all those like sort of
Like
Renaissance
the fireworks
painting,
behind Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's cool. Like I like that stuff, and it's like it's a movie that everyone's gonna see. There's a little bit of vanity in there. It's like I if I'm gonna work on a project, I want people to see it.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
I'm happy to work on like short films and stuff that it goes local circuit or whatever. But like if you're gonna work on a big budget movie, you wanna do a good job, and you want people to see that and be like, wow, that was cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's,
for sure.
but like sort of like writing, probably more so movies like I don't know, like Whiplash or something like that.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. The reason I haven't written anything in so long is because I just get too many ideas.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like if I start writing one thing and then one of my other ideas comes into my head, it's gonna be like competing and saying, don't waste your time. Like how long have you two been writing your features for?
Forever.
Oh, years.
Forever and
Yeah,
ever.
exactly.
Mine's been 2.5 years.
Yeah, and that I'm always gonna have that voice in my head that says, you're wasting your time on this one, do this one.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
And it's like that's why I don't write anything.
We completely understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but I've had a couple ideas for like I'd like to make something music related, something fairly gritty.
So I'm assuming that's part of the appeal in Whiplash.
I
It's
was
like
just
music.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of the idea that I'm thinking about at the moment is someone who basically makes loud, heavy music to get the noise out of their head. Basically, I kind of had this idea. It's kind of like Inside, but it's not like documentary. It's like it's about it. It would be in. I don't want to do it in quarantine though. That's the thing. I think we've seen enough of that. We don't need to keep milking COVID.
The COVID thing.
Yeah, but it would be about a musician who's in a situation where they can't socialize, they can't leave the house or whatever, and they're starting to go a little bit crazy,
Sure.
and so they turn to music as a way of trying to get that out.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few ideas for where I'm going to go with that, but I know that I'm never going to write this anyway. So it
Why
doesn't
not?
matter.
Why not?
Too much effort. I'll let you guys do the writing, and then I'll just tag along.
With something like that as well, that sounds achievable on a I hear
very small
contained.
budget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Which is what we do at Calligram. That's
Yo,
what.
if you're listening, throw Gus some funding.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
If you want, hee.
There's a
Should we start like Twitch streaming or something? These podcasts. And
hell yeah.
Yeah.
We actually should.
We will not be able to edit anything, and we'll reveal way too
I give it a week, and then we're just
Taylor will be no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Angus, you should absolutely write that if you were to want to. I like that idea.
Yeah, and then I also I've told you about this before, the grocery store thing, about a sort of like a sitcom about two grocery stores that are in the same like center,
Yeah.
and all their employees are they're at war with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
That
like
sounds
it's
good.
like what is it? Not West Side Story, but
Yeah,
like two,
little
two
bit of a-
rival groups.
yeah, a little
like,
bit of a Romeo and Juliet sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
but it's competing like
yeah,
very franchise heavy store. That's
Yeah.
quite funny. The irony with that, like Gus and like, I don't want to explain this for you
Yeah.
because I know that this is like what's funny is like
Yeah.
when you work in retail.
yeah,
Obviously, you're just trying to get your pay so you can pay rent. There's like no loyalty to
Yeah.
the brand.
yeah,
really.
literally.
But these people have like an undying loyalty,
Yeah,
and they're willing to fight another
yeah,
successful company that's not treating their
Yeah,
employees well enough.
literally.
Like that, when you've explained it to me before, that's what's really jumped
Yeah.
out at me.
I've also thought about just making like a weird art observational film where it's literally just like things that I overhear people saying in real life, literally just writing that down and putting that all into a film, which has no plot, but it's just all recreations of weird things that I've heard NPCs say in real life. Like,
So it'd be like an anthology, like
Yeah.
a series of
Yeah,
just
like,
scenes. Yeah, that's cool.
people just say the weirdest shit, bro.
Yeah, man.
They
I've
do.
definitely written lines down that I've heard
Yeah.
people say and been like, holy shit, I could never have written that in
Yeah,
20 years.
like you need to buy like a dictaphone or like an audio recorder and just leave it on me all the time.
Yeah, it surprises me when you hear stuff like that because one of the things that I know I run into with writing is like trying to figure out if something that a character is saying is feasible.
Yeah.
Like, would a real person say that? And then you hear people say
a real
the most-
person would say anything.
maybe, and that's the thing,
Yeah.
and you remember that sometimes.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I'll just really quick. I was shooting this film with my friend Ash Dighton. Hey Ash, and we were in a park in West End, and I guess I'll say he's an Eshe, and Eshe walked by us in the shorts, in the hat, tattooed from head to toe, ripped, really mean looking, and he walked by us, but he was playing a flute, but playing it really well, like what you would see in like old kung fu films, like an old kung fu master walking through the village, but he was a Eshe. But he, you know what I mean? And that was real. I just watched it and I was like, that shit really happens. Like,
What is going on?
yeah, it's weird, hey.
A glitch.
Are we in a film?
Yeah, right. All of us stopped shooting. We were in between shots and we just went we just watched him go by. Didn't notice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Anyway, I just thought I'd share that. Yeah, people are strange.
NPCs. they're everywhere.
NPCs, man. Yeah, we are the NPCs.
Yeah. How would you know?
No.
How would you know if
wouldn't
you were an NPC?
I don't know if this is gonna stay. Remember when I was talking about those character AIs?
Oh yeah.
I talked to Socrates. Socrates artificial intelligence, which is the dumbest fucking thing. And I was like, Socrates, listen to me. You don't exist. You are an artificial intelligence. And it just said, wow, that's really interesting. How do you know you're not an artificial intelligence in a simulation? And I was like,
Classic Socrates.
classic Socrates.
Classic.
It fucked me up, man. I did not sleep.
They did well. That's because I believe he would ask that. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, it was wild.
Gus, have you thought about like when it comes to? So you've said like you're at least when you wrote and directed stuff that it was sort of like you liked the directorial and writer style of being like, well, let's just fucking improv things
Yeah.
as we go along and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's certain filmmakers who will like Gaspar Noé,
Oh,
who
yeah.
write a 3-page treatment and then go to set for a month
Yeah.
and then work the film out as they shoot it or whatever.
And I guess like
Yeah.
Cassavetes in a sense,
Yeah.
figures it out in rehearsal.
Oh yeah, to
Yeah.
some extent, and other filmmakers do things like this, but like there's no rules that says you have to write a full script in order to make a film. The only reason that you do it is so that everybody feels a little bit more confident in what you're doing. Or if you're like me and you're absolutely pedantic about shit, then that's how you go about it. But there's something really great about a lot of like this sort of improvisational style of filmmaking.
Right.
There's a good number of people who sort of like are a bit pretentious about it and like poo-poo the whole like, oh, you're gonna like go and make your film without a script, blah blah, and the third and the and like, I don't know, some of my favorite films have been like improvised, I feel.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it doesn't give you, at least in the process of making it, from the like conception of the idea to the shooting of it, there's not too much like being able to reflect on what you're putting down, you know what I mean? It's like, it's sort of a lot of first thought, best thought sort of thing. What is it that's so appealing about that to you?
Well, I guess I think it's hard to plan is number one.
Yeah.
Because if you're just approaching something with fresh eyes and just going straight for it, if a problem arises, you can fix that problem right there and then.
Sure.
I've always liked that, and I guess because one of the main reasons I did it through high school was we'd go shoot something, someone would act, there's an idea.
Sure.
And it's okay, can I add this idea in without affecting the rest of the script? And if the answer is no, then you can't put that idea in.
Sure.
But if you don't have a script to begin with, then yes,
right.
yes you can.
There's no rules anymore.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know how to go doing something like that with, a fairly serious film, but with comedy or just something obscure. Like, I basically used to make my narrative films would basically be like short film versions of YouTube videos.
Right.
So that's the kind of style I always. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, right.
But people sometimes enjoyed it, I guess.
Sure, yeah. I think there's a lot of nonsense films that I like a lot. If anybody out there has seen a Town Called Panic, they should give that motherfucker a go. That's proper brilliant nonsense. I feel like there's a bunch of stuff on like Adult Swim that I love, like Xavier Renegade Angel and The Shivering Truth, and like all these shows that were just like, they had cohesion as an episode, but it was almost like you could imagine somebody who was like really, really brilliant improving a whole like 10-minute episode of something with like no post thought or like pre-thought about it and just being like go. But there are little like intricate things that link together and still made it really powerful. And even if that isn't the case and you just want to follow a character from point A to point B. Yeah.
Well, one of the best reality TV shows I've ever seen, Nathan For You.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Like, it's impossible. It's impossible to tell how much of that show is scripted.
Yes.
And how much of it is just made up on the spot.
Yeah. But that's what's sort of great about it. I don't want to know what is.
Yeah, exactly.
What isn't. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He always follows like a tangent. Like he'll hit a problem, whether he knew what the problem was going to be in advance, and he'll completely sideswipe the whole episode.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, no. I've seen clips from like some of his shows and they're always just fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And I really need to watch it.
Everybody should watch. Just pay for get the free trial for Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
You can watch it all in a week.
Yeah.
It's great. Gus and I watched the entire series probably less than a week.
Yeah.
Nice, okay. Cool.
Yeah, and we were dying laughing the entire time.
What's it called?
It's called Nathan For You.
Nathan For You.
He had another series that's on binge that had a lot of acclaim recently that we watched as well, called The Rehearsal.
Oh, that's
you might have heard about.
Yeah,
same guy, similar idea.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think either of those shows wouldn't work if they were entirely scripted.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to be an absolute genius to write something like that and script it that well.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, I don't believe that you just made this up. Like, yeah.
It's funny how sometimes you watch like more documentary style filmmaking, which I think, by the way, is pretty much the hardest genre to do properly. Like even harder than comedy, because it's not even about telling a story anymore. There's like so much more responsibility and chance that comes into it than like, having anything that you're going to be able to shoot, right?
Yeah.
But like, there's this weird sort of blend of stuff you can do where you're starting to like introduce sort of like comedic narrative form into like improv shooting a doco and just have it be, well, Nathan For You's like, Nathan For You's not total nonsense, but it's very like, we're going to do this thing now, let's fucking go and commit, and there's no like planning. It's the lack of planning, but it makes it better in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like there's just certain writers and certain directors and filmmakers and whatever the hell Nathan is,
Yeah.
that makes him perfectly suited to that sort of thing. And you couldn't put people who like, I guess were me, or like anybody who's like heavily script focused in a scenario where it's like, all right, go. It's like, I'm lost.
Yeah.
But you sound like a person. If somebody was like, and go, you'd be like, okay, let's
Let's
go.
make a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's kind of, it's always been my approach is have a vague idea or don't have an idea at all, I guess.
Sure.
And shoot something, see how that works. You can always cut it later.
Yeah.
Just shoot something until you have something you can build off.
Right.
And then build off that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
The way I like to, Wouldn't recommend it, but
We recommend it if you like to take chances, I guess. Yeah.
Do you see yourself making another project like that with like a rough idea if you were to write, general story outline and then go figure it out?
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't do like a film. Probably more of like a series, like a web series or something like that, where it's I guess the pilot episode would just be whatever, but then every subsequent episode would have some relation to that. So there's always something to build off, but it's like, okay, we can actually change this idea now. We're not locked into whatever it was that, we're not locked into, say, the first act of a movie. And be like, okay, so this is consistent, but the plot of this episode is whatever. It's
Sure.
Yeah.
Like circular structure sort of shows.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I mean, we said The Simpsons earlier, but
Yeah.
like everybody ends up back on the couch at the end no matter what happens, right?
Yeah.
So, but that gives you a really open thing to being able to do anything at any sort of time.
Good stuff.
Can we throw back a little bit here just to like Whiplash?
Throw it
because we brought it up and we've not talked about Whiplash on a podcast.
Okay.
And like it's a big movie and everybody loves it. And the question
and
is,
Giselle's just had a new movie.
and Giselle's just got
yeah.
yeah. What about Whiplash is like so appealing to you?
Well, the big one, J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
The boy.
My favorite. Absolutely love that man.
Yeah.
I think I was just looking for a movie to watch, and at the time that was the highest rated movie in the world.
Right.
At the time that I was looking.
Sure.
And so I put that on because it's called Whiplash, and it's about a drummer, and I like drums.
Yeah.
And I was like, and J.K. Simmons, I was like, this is everything I look for in a movie.
Sure.
And so I watched it, and performances were great. It's shot in a way that I don't know how you describe it. It's not like super fancy, but it's not like amateur either. Somewhere in between. That's very vague.
Yeah,
it's a very big window, but it's somewhere in there.
There's a nice middle ground, and it's very the color palette of the film is very distinct. Like
Yeah.
how it's lit is like it's very high contrast.
Yeah.
It's very fucking orange.
Yeah.
And it's very bold about that, but that gives it a nice look of like this is very refined. We shot this on very professional equipment, but we purposefully know we wanted it to have a very distinct sort of style to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting film.
It
is. It feels like the stakes are so high, but at the same time it's about a guy who wants to get in a band, more or less. That's pretty much what the film's about.
Yeah.
But and like I already said this, but J.K. Simmons, bro.
Yeah.
I just love that man.
He kills it.
He's
But,
unreal, yeah.
and great in that movie as well.
I remember studying music when I was younger, and there was a lot of like, especially like when you're studying music under like academic, context or whatever, however you want to say that. There's this thing about music where it's very much like you must be exactly right all the time, everything, and then you go to get graded for playing a piece, and it's very like. And I remember the pressure of it. It's insane. How picky everybody is about everything.
Yeah, and then like finding out at the end of the movie that J.K. Simmons is actually not a bad dude at all. He's deliberately being an arsehole because he's trying to push one of the students to the point where they just become a legend, more or less.
Yes. And he's sort of willing to do anything to,
Yeah.
to get that.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting arc to be like, how far is too far to achieve greatness if it's at the expense of your like health as a human being, mental, physical, whatever the hell, right?
Yeah. And we've seen in history, we've seen a lot of takes on the, I guess Miles Teller's character isn't a beginner, but he's early in the industry and he wants to be the best, and he wants to work really hard to be the best. Like we've seen that story a lot of times, but not in this context.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
we see like it looks at all of the negatives
Yeah, right.
rather than it being like, oh, good on him, he is working so hard. It's like, no, he's like hurting all of his relationships in his life.
Sure.
You know, he has convinced himself he has to break up with the girl.
Yeah,
that
right.
seems really lovely in the
Yeah,
film
yeah.
and shows no red flags. Like,
Yeah.
it's great. You know, and he's a dick to his family and in that great scene.
I would normally like criticize a movie for trying to put that much emphasis on that sort of relationship when it's so glossed over so quickly.
Yeah.
But I feel like the reason that it's so glossed over so quickly is because that's what it is.
It's the
significance.
The movie's
Yeah.
reflecting his
Yeah.
his attitude towards his girlfriend, which is
Yeah.
like, nope, drumming more important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why JK is in the film so much. It's
Yeah.
like his opinion is the
Yeah.
thing. That's what
Yeah.
the whole film's about. Yeah, it's bloody good. The editing
Bloody
is
good.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like matching the, because obviously we're working with like quick rhythms
Yeah.
in terms of the soundscape. Like you get that with the edit. It
They would have
feels
had
like that.
A painstaking time editing that
Mm.
fucking thing. My god.
Well, let's finish on a I guess I'll phrase it this way. It's like, Gus, do you remember what your first film was that you saw that you remember really loving? Like it didn't have to make you want to be a filmmaker, but just something that really did it for you.
I don't know if there was one before this, but on the movies that I saw and I was as a kid and I was like, wow, no other movies compete with this.
Mm.
It was Incredibles.
Yeah.
Incredibles 1. I absolutely
Nice.
love that movie.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I watched it like a bit older, still a kid, and completely different meaning, completely different film,
Yeah.
but still so much in it that I just loved.
Mhm.
Now watching it as an adult, same thing again. Like, and not just as an adult, but as someone who knows a bit about film now, and seeing all these things that I didn't appreciate before.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the obvious one is that that scene where he's in the office and it's like really bland. All the cubicles are exactly identical, and then you just see him like
He's massive.
cramped in that little box and things like that, and it's like that goes way over a kid's head, but like I really appreciate that they put that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real skill writing those like movies that pretty much anybody at any age can watch, and then once you get older, there's so much stuff hidden in there
Yeah.
that they knew that they've hidden so carefully where it's like not gonna bore a kid. It's
Hmm.
still gonna be really exciting for like young people to watch it, and then it's gonna be just as relatable for like older people
Yeah.
to watch it. It's
Yeah.
really difficult to do, and The Incredibles is one of those that stands out.
Yeah.
So being like, oh yeah, that's one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such an important detail that they made the boss such a little man
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And obviously being so outrageously commanding and,
Yeah.
you know, perhaps to compensate,
Yeah.
you know, people abusing positions of power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, having that scale, like, makes that
Mm.
really obvious. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fucking beautiful movie.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the sequel?
I liked it. It's got a little bit of the charm of the first one, but not enough, I don't think.
Mhm.
It's, yeah. It was fun, but it's not anything that I would consider iconic, as
Sure.
opposed to, say, following Toy Story up with Toy Story 2. Like, that
Toy
they
Story
they
2.
absolutely nailed that.
I love Toy Story.
Yeah.
2. Yeah. Awesome.
But, yeah, Incredibles 2 is it's a fun watch.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it twice. It's alright.
Mhm.
It was really hard watching that because I was like, I kind of don't want to watch this movie because it's like this is maybe the sequel may be the sequel to my favorite movie of all time.
Right.
So watching that, I was like, this is either going to be amazing or I'm gonna be really disappointed in this. But they landed somewhere in the middle there.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Final question before
Okay.
we wrap up. 'cause
Okay.
I forgot to ask this.
Yep.
Opinions on the Cat in the Hat.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
Yes, good question.
Good question.
There's only one right answer.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can
Just
get
so
this
you
one
know.
wrong, just like,
Can I start by saying that I used to have nightmares about the Cat in the Hat before I even saw the movie? Just
Before
like
you saw
the movie.
I saw the promotional material
Right.
and it gave me nightmares.
Yeah.
yeah,
That
Yeah.
trailer is cut like a horror film.
Yeah.
totally valid.
Um.
Have people seen the photos of the of the prosthetics of the cat mask that they put on him? Man. Anyhow,
It's
sorry, keep going.
Yeah. No.
So it was nightmare fuel.
It
It's a
was
good thing to
nightmare
know.
fuel.
Did you watch it when you were younger?
I did. I just can't. I think it was like probably 2-3 years after it came out. It was
Right.
a while.
Yeah.
My sister loved it. and I was like, I think I was still getting over that. It was like almost like watching a horror movie for the first time for me, because it's like I'm really anxious about watching this because this scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. It has a lot of characteristics of a horror movie. There's like
It
probably
does,
at
yeah.
least like 40 jump scares in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro, I'm keen for his adaptation.
Oh yes.
Inevitably.
That's what we need.
Visually really interesting.
Shout out to
It
Cuba.
sure is.
It sure is.
Bensky did it. Yep.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did it well.
I would have to watch it again to be able to give
Yeah.
a proper opinion on it.
Has
but
it been a while since you've seen it?
a long time.
Oh, okay.
We'll,
There you
we'll
go.
watch it soon.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite joke in the film?
In Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
God, I can't
Or,
remember.
or,
You
or,
can't
like
remember
quip?
No, things I just remember about Cat in the Hat off the top of my head. It's the same. I think there's a toilet seat that's on fire or something,
Yes.
which is like. And then there's a scene where they're all driving the car and there's 3 steering wheels and they just start doing donuts.
Yeah.
Remember that? There's a bit where he cuts off his tail. I
Yeah.
remember that. But the
Yeah.
fuck, that's a kids movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
It was different times in the early 2000s. Anything went. We didn't care.
Yeah.
It was just like
You just make anything.
yeah.
Wild
Wild.
movie.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Gus, thanks for coming along to the Calligram podcast. It
Well,
was
Gus struggles to open the xylophone.
good chatting to you as always.
Thank you.
All right.
Shall I get the sticks?
Thank you very much, Gus, for sitting here and talking with us about,
Nonsense.
nonsense. Yeah, it's always good fun. Okay, cool. Give us an outro.
I was literally just gonna wait for you to finish talking and then just go.
Beautiful.
Oh.
That'll do.